Interpreting Dr. William Lane Craig regarding the historical authenticity of the Bible, a synopsis of his lectures and his debate with Bart Ehrman. Introduction. I'm convinced there are better arguments for theism than for atheism. I have two basic claims. First, there are no good arguments that atheism is true. Second, there are good arguments that theism is true. So, we are limiting ourselves to a discussion about the existence of God. Regarding my first claim that there are no arguments that atheism is true, atheists have tried for centuries to disprove the existence of God, but none has ever had a successful argument. Regarding my second claim that there are good arguments that theism is true, one, the cosmological argument. The question of why anything at all exists is the most profound question of philosophy. The philosopher Derek Parfit says, "No question is more sublime than, where there is a universe, why there is anything rather than nothing." Typically, atheists have answered this question by saying that the universe was eternal and uncaused. But there are good reasons from science and philosophy to think that the universe began to exist. Philosophically, the idea of an infinite past seems absurd. If the universe never began to exist, that means the number of past events in the history of the universe is infinite. But the mathematicians recognize that the existence of an actually infinite number of things leads to self-contradictions. For example, what is infinity minus infinity? Well, you would get self-contradictory answers. This shows that infinity is just an idea in your mind, but not something that exists in reality. David Hilbert might be the greatest mathematician of the 20th century, and he wrote, "The infinite is nowhere to be found in reality. It exists neither in nature nor provides a legitimate basis for rational thought. The role that remains for the infinite to play is only that of an idea." This means that since past events are not just ideas, but real, the number of past events must be limited. This means that the universe must have begun to exist. This conclusion from philosophy has been confirmed by discoveries in astronomy and astrophysics. 1. Continued. What makes the theory that the Big Bang happened 13 billion years ago so startling is that it represents the origin of the universe from literally nothing. Because all matter and energy and even physical space and time, all of these came into existence at the Big Bang. As the physicist P.C. Davies says, "The coming into being of the universe, as discussed in modern science, is not just a matter of imposing some sort of organization upon a previous incoherent state, but literally the coming into being of all physical things from nothing." Now, this puts the atheist in a very awkward position. As Anthony Kinney of Oxford University says, "A proponent of the Big Bang Theory, at least if he is an atheist, must believe that the universe came from nothing and by nothing." But surely that does not make sense. Out of nothing, nothing comes. So why does the universe exist instead of just nothing? Where did it come from? There must have been a cause which brought the universe into being. Now, to be the cause of space and time, this being must be an uncaused, timeless, spaceless, immaterial being of incomprehensible power. Moreover, it must also be personal. It must have a personhood. Why? Because the cause must be beyond space and time. This means that it cannot be physical or material. Now, there are only two kinds of things that fit that description. One is an abstract object like numbers. The other is a personal mind. But abstract objects cannot cause anything. This means that the cause of the universe is a transcendent, intelligent mind. Thus, the cosmological argument gives us a personal creator of the universe. 2. The teleological argument. In recent years, scientists have been surprised by the discovery that initial conditions of the Big Bang were fine-tuned, that means precisely measured, for the existence of intelligent life. This precisely measured state for the Big Bang was so exact and delicate that it literally defies human understanding. This fine-tuning, or precise measuring, is of two kinds. First, when the laws of nature are expressed as mathematical equations, there are certain constants like the gravitational constant. These constants are not determined by the laws of nature. The laws of nature are consistent with a wide range of values for these constants. Second, in addition to these constants, there are certain arbitrary quantities put in as initial conditions on which the laws of nature operate or work. For example, the amount of entropy or decay, or the balance between matter and antimatter in the universe. Now, all of these constants and quantities fall into an extraordinarily narrow range of life-permitting values. A very narrow range of values that would allow for life. If these constants or quantities were changed by the length of a hair, then the valence would be destroyed and life would not exist. To give just one example, the atomic weak force, if it were changed by as little as 1 part out of 10 to the 100th power, then the Big Bang would not have produced life. Two, continued. Now, there are three possible explanations of this remarkable fine-tuning or precise measuring: physical necessity, chance, or design. Now, it can't be due to physical necessity because the constants and quantities are independent of the laws of nature. In fact, string theory predicts that there are around 10 to the 500th power different possible universes consistent with nature's laws. So, could the fine-tuning be due to chance? Well, the problem with this alternative is that the odds against the fine-tuning happening by accident are so unbelievably great that they cannot be argued against with reason. The probability that all the constants and quantities would fall by chance alone into the infinitely small range that would allow for life is so small it vanishes from view. We now know that life-prohibiting universes are infinitely more probable than life-permitting universes. So if the universe was the product of chance, the probability is virtually certain that the resulting universe would not allow for life to start or evolve. In order to save the idea that the universe exists because of chance, some of its believers have been forced to resort to a radical metaphysical and spiritual hypothesis. This metaphysical theory is that an infinite number of randomly ordered, undetectable universes that compose a world ensemble of some kind exists. They call this the multiverse. Somewhere in this recently made up idea of the multiverse, chance alone might have had enough opportunities To overcome what statistics says is impossible. Now, it is a fact that there is absolutely no independent evidence that such a world ensemble or multiverse even exists. But worse than that is that even on the level of logic, it has a major problem. If our universe is just a random member of an infinite world ensemble, then it is overwhelmingly more probable that we should be seeing a much different universe than the one we in fact see. 2. Continued. Roger Penrose has calculated that it is inconceivably more probable that our solar system should suddenly form through a random collision of particles than that a finely tuned universe should exist. Penrose calls the odds chicken feed by comparison. So if our universe were just a random member of a world ensemble, it is unbelievably more probable that we should be seeing an orderly area no bigger than our solar system. Observable universes like those are what the model of the multiverse predicts, and if the multiverse model were true, we should be seeing universes like those. But the universe that we do see is finely tuned and infinitely larger than our small solar system around one small star. So, because there are 0 observations of the solar system-sized universe, the multiverse or world ensemble hypothesis doesn't have much support from hard science or true science. So if atheism is true, it is highly likely that there is no world ensemble. The fine-tuning of the universe is not because of physical necessity or because of chance. So the teleological argument shows us how logic says that statistically, the best explanation for the universe is designed by an intelligent creator. 3. The immediate experience of God. This is not really an argument for God's existence. It is the claim that you can know that God exists entirely without argument, just by immediately experiencing him. Philosophers call beliefs like these properly basic or appropriately simple. They aren't based on other beliefs, but instead they are a part of the foundation of a person's system of beliefs. Other properly basic beliefs include the belief in the fact that the world around you is real. Another is the belief that the past really exists. Another is the belief that other minds like your own are real. When you think about it, none of these things can be proved. But even though these sorts of beliefs are basic or simple for us, that does not mean that they are arbitrary, because they are grounded in the sense that they're formed in the context of certain experiences. In the contextual experience of seeing and hearing and feeling things, I naturally form the belief that the world of physical objects is real. This means that my beliefs are not arbitrary, but are in fact appropriately grounded in experience. They're not just basic, but they're properly basic. They're not just simple, they're appropriate in their simplicity. 3. Continued. In the same way, belief in God is, for those who know him, a properly basic belief that is grounded in their experience of God. Now, if this is correct, it can become dangerous to focus too much on arguments about God's existence. These arguments might actually distract your attention from God himself. If you are sincere when you try to learn about God, then God will make his existence clear to you. So we should not concentrate on arguments about God more than we concentrate on his voice inside of us, speaking to our hearts. For the people who listen, God becomes an immediate reality in their life.